Hello, David Clarke here from DVC Training, and today I'm going to do a video about Premiere Pro. Haven't done one of those for ages, but I do use it. Been doing a couple of jobs recently for people where they use Premiere, so I was using Premiere too. And there's a particular thing that I've been trying to work out for ages, which is to do with doing a list of bullet points rather like this, which was coming up a lot in these videos. They were health and safety videos. I wanted a way to make up a template where I could get these things to pop up on screen very easily that I could reuse all the time. What we have been doing is this. So we would have a blue box appear. So if I start playing this, so here you can see I've got bullet point, followed by another point, and then another point. And sometimes there'd be 5 bullet points, sometimes there'd be 4, sometimes there'd be 3. And what we've had to do is stick in a line for each bullet point. So you can see there's the first one, second one, third one, and so on. And then when there's 5 points, I have to manually try and work out how to spread them up, because I don't think that's quite right. I think bullet point 4 is probably a little bit out of kilter, so I could fiddle with this position and put it in, and bullet point 3, yeah, I don't think they're exactly right. Sometimes you pick them up and move them around, and you have to make sure all these come out to be the same. Yeah. There's lots of nice aligning tools inside the graphics thing, but you can't use them when you split stuff up like this. Plus at the end, I'm going to want the blue box to fade in and out, so that's easy. You select it, Control D, and it puts a cross dissolve at the start and the end. At the end of this lot, I want these things here to fade out individually. And with the bullet points, I don't want them to fade on, but I want them to fade out at the end. So I'm just going to have to go and select all the ends by shift clicking and go and Control D, or go to my effects list and drag them and put them over. And I thought, surely there's a way I can make up a template that I can reuse lots and lots, and all I have to do really is to change the words and when they pop up. There are obviously graphic templates inside of Premiere. Now I'm in Premiere 2025 here, and you can go to the graphics templates here. It used to be part of the essential graphics window, but obviously they've changed things around. And you could look for a template, or maybe you could go to somewhere like Envato and try and find one. Couldn't find one that did exactly what we wanted, so I tried to create one in After Effects, which is the standard way of creating your own templates. But the thing is, I need these bullet points to pop up. So they're not going to be there all the time, they're going to pop up as things are said. And that varies depending on what we're talking about. So I can't program that in After Effects, I need to, in Premiere, be able to say, right, this is when this one appears, this is when this one appears. And you can't do that. You can add things in After Effects which you can adjust in Premiere, like the text and the font and so on, but you can't animate them once you've done that. And I was looking for all sorts of ways of doing it, and the internet was saying, oh, you can add a slider and a variable and a blah-de-blah-de-blah, and it was getting incredibly complicated. And I thought there must be an easier way. Finally worked it out, so I thought, why not do a tutorial about it? I'm going to put all that into one template. So let me just take all those words and copy them, select the lot, hold down on Alt, drag them over here, and I'm going to do this all with one graphic as opposed to a whole bunch of them. So the first thing I'm going to do is to drag in a box, make it last the length of the text, and now what I want to do is add in the text. I want it all to be in one thing, and obviously I've made them all separate things here. So to make it all in one thing, make sure you've got that graphic selected, click on the T, and then start typing, and it'll just become another layer in the same graphic as opposed to being something else. If that wasn't selected and I clicked on the T, I'd start making different things like this. But yeah, first one here, I have now got to start typing in bullet point 1. And obviously I want a bullet point, and if I could remember the fancy code, I could get it. Because there are lots of different symbols and things inside of fonts. I'm using Arial on this, just to keep it simple. But there are lots of symbols and things inside of fonts. And you can hold down an Alt and type various numbers, and it'll come up with all sorts of things which aren't fonts. But I don't know what a bullet point is, so I'm going to drag up this thing, the character map. This is a standard Windows thing. This is not a part of Premiere. Type character map, it'll come up with this. Choose the typeface you want, and then just look through all this list of stuff. This is all the things which are in that typeface if you know how. And find the bullet point. I'm going to go for that. Oh, no, why not? Let's go for a triangle just for a change. Choose the one I want, select it, copy, and come over here, go right to the start, paste. Now I've got my bullet point. It was a circle in the other ones. I thought I'd put in a triangle. Why not? Now I want to go through and put all the other bullet points in. So I'm going to make it easy for me by just copying that and then sticking in another line and pasting it, and another line and pasting. And let's just change the numbers. Obviously here, this is where you'd actually have interesting things rather than the words bullet point. Right, so now I've got 5 bullet points. Obviously they're all over the place, so what I'm going to do is select the bottom one and select the top one and get them into the places that I want them to be. And then I'm going to go through and select the lot. So just come over here, make sure the first one's selected, hold down on Shift, make sure the last one's selected, and it'll select the whole lot for you. Didn't select the blue box. If I tried dragging a box over them to select them, it would have selected the blue box, and I don't want to do that. I just want to select the words. So click, Shift, click. Now, because they're all in one title, I can come down to these lovely aligny things down here. Click on that one. It aligns them all on the left, middle, right, and so on. So I'm going to align them all on the left. So now they're all aligned. They're not jaggly all over the place. And if I just change the position here, I can just move them over to the center. Next thing I want to do is I want to distribute them. So that's this lot here. So if I click on that, it's going to take all those and distribute those nice and smoothly so that they're all at equal height apart. I don't have to go through and fiddle with numbers and work it out. I think I'll just position it there. I was going to make a template here with 5 points. Sometimes I need 4, sometimes I need 3. And then you have to get rid of these things and start reorganizing them. So it's so easy that once it's in one title, you select them and just use this stuff to do it. So that's got those nicely aligned. Actually, I want to go to my blue background because I just did randomly put that on there. If I go to the aligny things on that, I can say align it in the center horizontally, align it in the center vertically, and now I've got my blue box right in the middle. So there we are. I'm happy with that. I have now got my 5 different bullet points. How do I change it into a template that I can reuse and that I can keyframe so I can turn these things on and off? Now, this is where, like before, you say, I was using After Effects. Simplest thing, don't use After Effects. Just take that, right click and say, export as motion graphics template. I'm going to leave it in my local templates folder, or I could stick it somewhere else. So let me say I've got a project and I'm going to stick it with the project. There are a couple of things here that says warn you if you're not using fonts that are not available on Adobe, because of course I could use this and I can give it to somebody else and they can load it up. But if they don't have the typefaces, it's going to go a bit wonky. But I'm just going to go clock OK. It saves me a motion graphics template. Now, if I'd left it in my local templates folder rather than putting it somewhere else, it would actually have appeared down here. So that's probably what you're going to do yourself. I wanted to put it somewhere because maybe I want to send this to somebody else. If somebody else gives you a template, then what you do is you might think, I'll go and click on this little plus. No, you click on this one up here. If you click on that, then you can go and find your motion graphics template, which is that thing, MOGRT, motion graphics template. Open it and it'll import it for you. Now, because I said local folder, it just popped in there, which is probably what you'll do 99% of the time. Now, having done that, let me get that one that I made out of the way. I can take that, pop it onto the timeline, and it gives me exactly that layout of titles. So I could actually make up one with 3 points, one with 4 points, one with 5 points, save them all in there, and I can just drag it in and it's already there, all the bullet points all lined up. All I've got to do is get them to turn on and off. Now, how do you do that? Obviously here, this is where the first bullet point starts. So I'm going to go to bullet point 1, go to the effects control window and open it up. And obviously you've got control over everything, text and so on, but I'm literally going to go to the opacity. I want the opacity to start off at nothing, so it's not there, so I'm going to put that to 0. Stick in a keyframe, move forward 1 frame. Put it up to 100, put in another keyframe. You see there? Here you can see I've got bullet point, followed by, that's where the second one starts, so I'm going to do the same for the second one. The only downside of this is the moving up and down in the window. It'd be lovely if I could have just have said only show me the opacity. But again here, pop that down to nothing, 0, move to 1 frame, up, second bullet point. Then here, that's where the next one starts, so let's find bullet point 3, nothing, on 1 frame, 100%. go through and do the same for all the others. So let's go to number 4. And finally number 5. And now we get to the summary. So here you can see I've got bullet point, followed by another point, and then another point, and another point, and finally the last one. And then if I wanted all to fade in and out at the same time, I could just select the whole thing, Control D, and it'll hang around there and then fade out. If I want different fades on different bits, so I want all the words to fade out at one point and then the blue background to fade out at another point, I'd either go through here and put more keyframes on the opacity on each of the bits of text, or maybe I'd end up with 2 lines, one with all the text on and one with the blue box. So I'd have the blue box doing its own thing and all the text popping up together. But you wouldn't believe how long I actually tried to work that out, because I just thought it would be so much quicker to start off with something with everything in there than it would to start making them up all the time. Of course, I can just go and copy and paste that every time I need it, or go to other projects and drag it in here if I want to. I just prefer that because it's tidier and I think simpler, and I don't have to eyeball where these points should go. They're still not quite right. When I make these things, I click on them and then I make sure that they all start physically at the same place. So looking at that bullet point, that is literally starting at 532, so that one should as well. Down there somewhere, yep, 532. I do love in Premiere the way you have to keep scrolling up and down windows. Unfortunately, that's what it does. 532, yeah, so at least they're all starting at the same point. Yeah, and there are ways of doing it. It's just I find it's very, very easy, the fact that I've got some aligning tools inside of this. Of course, if I want to send that to somebody, I can just go and dig it up on my hard drive. I could send that to somebody and they can import it into their own list of graphic templates, as I did using that little button. Obviously, the animation there applies to anything. So you save out a title in Premiere with a motion path or something, then you can keyframe that afterwards. Big difference there between making it motion graphics templates in After Effects and Premiere. In Premiere, you can always change everything afterwards. What I could do if this was an After Effects template is I could have just had opacity as an option that you could change, but not all the other stuff. So it would have made it easier to find, which would have been nice. Here, I have to just scroll up and down in the window. Don't be tempted to use the mouse wheel to scroll up and down. I use that a lot because you can scroll up and down using the mouse wheel. But if your mouse wheel's in the wrong place and you come and select a text, you might suddenly be changing the typeface. So I'd probably recommend doing that. Or maybe just make this whole window bigger. Grab hold of it, drag it. Instead of dragging it into one of these blue things, drag it right to the edge where you get this great big green bar, and then suddenly that will take up the entirety of one side of the screen, so there's less scrolling involved. If I shut down the source text, I can actually get to the opacity without scrolling up and down. You can actually do it in the properties window as well. So here you've got the opacity, and if I wanted to keyframe it here, I click on that, and it will actually affect the opacity of whatever I've got selected at the top. So let's go to bullet point 5 and find the opacity here, and I can change the numbers on that. So I could have keyframed it over here as opposed to keyframing it over there. But again, a lot of wandering up and down here. Again, I could take that one and pop it over the side. So I have a bigger properties window. So maybe I can get to the opacity a bit easier. Of course, got in a complete mess now. There's stuff all over the place. I want to get back to how I was. Go up to editing, redo save layout, and it go back to how I was. But anyway, main point was that's how you can make a template where you can animate things afterwards. And it's so simple. And you wouldn't believe how long I'd been looking for that, then given up because this worked. But I really wanted to get that going. So I thought it might be worth just sharing that with other people. Now, if you've been on my channel before, you know I do videos about all sorts of things. Primarily, I use Grass Valley Edius for editing, and I use DaVinci Resolve. And just because I'm doing something in Premiere now doesn't mean that I've given up on those at all. I actually still prefer Edius for editing. I'm quite happy with Premiere. In fact, the biggest thing I've got against Premiere is the fact that it costs you £20 a month on its own, or £60 a month for the whole suite. It's literally the cost. If I could buy this with a single fee and then use it, I'd be a lot happier. Edius is cheaper. You buy it once, you never have to buy it again if you're happy with the copy that you got. Resolve, there's a free one that does shed loads of stuff. It would do this for you if you wanted to. You just have to learn how to use it. Of course, the Studio one, which you pay 250 quid for, does lots of nice AI stuff as well, and at the moment you pay for that once and never pay for it again. Maybe in the future they might charge for upgrades, but again, you decide whether you want to upgrade. Not like Premiere, where you have to keep paying for the flipping thing every month, and if you stop paying, it stops working. That's the biggest thing I've got against Premiere: cost. Actually, the program is very good. Like I said, I have been using it for some projects I've been working with other people, because that's what they've got. So I might do a few more videos about it. I know I've been playing with the latest beta as well, that's got a nice automatic mask tracking tool. I might do a video about that. But anyway, wanted to do a quick one about this simply because I found out how to do it after ages of fiddling. So I hope you find that useful. If you did, please like the video, subscribe to the channel for more videos, or pop to my website www.dvctraining.co.uk for more information. And I'll see you next time.